It really depends on what living arrangement you decide on, because it's very common in Spain to particularly in like Madrid and Barcelona, to rent a room in an apartment. So an apartment, like a room within an apartment, will obviously be much cheaper than if you rent an apartment itself. You can probably expect between 400 to 500 euros a month, depending on the neighborhood and the quality of the apartment for a room. And then rent of an apartment itself, again, depending on the size and the neighborhood, can be anywhere from sort of 700-800 euros up to 1,000.
Hi everyone, we have Johnny M from Millennials with Money joining us in the show. He's originally from the UK but now living in Madrid, and we're gonna drill him with a lot of his insights on money, investing, personal finance, and everything else in between. So Johnny, super rich guy, it's an honor to have you in the show.
Thank you, Marvin. It's really cool to speak to you.
A lot of people who are watching this channel are around 25 to 45-year-old range, and they're millennials. If you would give three money hacks, money tips that you personally live by, that have allowed you to save and invest, or possibly bring you to where you are today, what would it be?
So definitely one tip where we give is budget and know your financial situation. So it's something I've done pretty much for years and years now, and especially when I started working and started living by myself. I always had the goal to be able to have money left over to save, and wherever reasonably possible, I've done that. So knowing what my costs were so that I could try and reduce them to give myself that margin for savings. So being able to budget, reduce your costs so that you do have saving capacity, and then actually saving your money and not spending in excess or buying stuff that you don't need.
What's your methodology on how you would budget? Because when I was starting out, I'm I think 10 years older than you. There weren't really this wasn't available yet, so I would literally write everything down, then transfer it in an Excel in my desktop to be able to do it. Then I would put specific, everything was itemized. This is for groceries, this is for transportation, this is for clothes. How would you do it right now? Because the reason why I ask that is people have this negative connotation of budgeting, that they only budget when times are already tough, or they only budget when they actually need to set aside money for something. How did you do it?
Well, on your last point, first of all, there's quite a few YouTubers I watch, and they say that budgeting is not restrictive, but it's actually liberating, and it allows you to do what you want because you can spend your money without feeling guilty about what you're doing and knowing that it's all planned for. And I definitely find that myself, because I do itemize my budget items, like you say. That's how I started in much more detail, going through like supermarket shopping, eating out, like clothes, gym, rent, bills, all that kind of stuff. Because I come from a finance background, I really love Excel, and I have everything in Excel, and I've got loads of different metrics that I compare my spending against. But recently what I've started to do is actually simplify my Excel file. So like you say, mobile technology has advanced quite a lot recently. And so what I do is I have this kind of banking aggregator app that I really like, and I extract all my transactions from there and then put it in an Excel format, and then I follow my budget that way, essentially.
I think the biggest problem of a lot of people also is they want to save, but they find it hard to save. You mentioned that you were putting budget, so I assume that you would allot also your savings as part of your budget. What are your general principles on how you go about your saving? Is it a percentage? Is it, I need to save 10% a month of whatever I get, I will save that? Or is it an amount, I need to save 1,000 euros a month? And how do you actually stick to that also when it's I don't know, you get tempted to spend on something or go on a trip, or if you have friends that are spending massively more than you, how do you do it?
And so the way I actually build my budget and determine how much I spend is like it's like the zero-based method. So I start from zero and I say, okay, for my rent I need this much, for my supermarket shopping reasonably this is how much I can expect to spend. Like eating out, I can reasonably allow myself this much per month. And then, you know, like discretionary spending is stuff that is going to eat up most of your budget, probably, particularly eating out. So really trying to be realistic and set some boundaries with those items has helped me to allow myself to save money and to give myself some spending capacity. In terms of whether it's a percentage or an amount, because I do this like zero-based method, starting from zero and then adding in items, it normally means I end up with an amount that I expect to save based on my income. So obviously some months I'll be able to do that. Others I'll have expenses that are not regular items, like if I go on holiday or if it's someone's birthday or something. So I tend to try and aim for an amount each month, but keeping in mind that some months, you know, I won't be able to hit that. I sometimes, even given the fluctuations by month, I'll give myself a target for the year and see if I can hit that target over the course of the year.
As we look at your budget also, what's your biggest expense item? So I assume rent will be also relatively high. If you take out rent out of your budget, what do you spend on the most also? Just to give a picture on your spending habits, and then what is it relative to how you save also?
Other big items in my budget are particularly electricity, because electricity in Europe has massively increased in cost over the course of this year. Supermarket shopping, because I try to minimize going out. So and I like to eat, even though it might not look like it. So I try to buy a lot of stuff at the supermarket to encourage myself to cook and eat at home. But then again, that's something I've tried to get under control recently by using like a meal planning app and planning out my meals so that I limit what I buy at the supermarket.
Every time I hear friends who travel also to Spain, they say, "Oh, if the food is so cheap, you can eat anywhere. It's good." Is it significantly still? You'd save a lot more still from the grocery and cooking it yourself as compared to also still eating out. Is there a massive difference in what you could save, or at least the cost for it?
Yeah, definitely. So probably the places your friends are referring to are like local tapas bars where you can get like a lot of different rations and plates of food for maybe like €5 or something like that. But because I always look at things in like the cost per unit of something, so I break down like how much does this meal cost me to cook, and it often ends up being like between €1 or €2. So when you compare that, even when going to like a cheap tapas place, or what a lot of people do even is end up in like some of the popular like burger restaurants or like a Mexican place, you'll still end up paying like €10 for a meal there, which, don't get me wrong, like these meals they're really nice and they're worth it like once in a while. But for me, like I will always look to pay like €1 or €2 per meal versus like €10 like on a regular basis.
Got it. Do you consider yourself cheap or frugal?
I now consider myself frugal. I think before I was cheap. The difference between being cheap and frugal, in my opinion, is if you're cheap, you'll look for the lowest monetary amount you can spend in any situation. Whereas if you're frugal, you might be willing to pay a little bit more for quality, and it's more about cost efficiency.
What would you say to people watching this that because they're frugal, their friends call them cheap, and because you're no fun, because you don't go to everything, because you're also sticking to your budget, saving and investing? Or I'll also ask this: what's the biggest sacrifice that you've ever made because you wanted to stick to your plan to invest and save also?
I'd say there's no one sacrifice, because if you're serious about your finance and budgeting, it's more of a way of life than just a one-off thing. Regarding social pressure, by the way, so I think if you have a good group of friends, then they'll understand what it is you're trying to do. And there is some compromise in there. You know, you don't have to say no all the time, but allow yourself that freedom in your budget to go and socialize and to see your friends and have a good time every once in a while as well. For me, like I have an entertainment budget per month that allows me to like go out and you know, whether there's an event on or an exhibition or something. And I've also got a budget for eating out as well, so that when a friend does invite me out or when I decide to go out with my girlfriend or someone, we like it's in the budget and we don't have to feel bad about it. Again, like related, I think Instagram and social media like make us idealize life and we all want to travel all the time and everything. So actually, besides my like Millennials with Money Instagram account, I try and minimize my use of social media because you can get so drawn into this like idealistic lifestyle, and it can end up like shaping your thoughts and what you want to do.
For people who are single versus people who are married, what would be the typical cost of living for people who would want to say stay in Madrid but be able still to save and invest? Maybe the question would be, what would be a comfortable cost of living from a millennials with money frugal expert, the Graham Stefan of Spain,
Yeah.
on what would be cost of living for a single person versus someone that's married?
It really depends on what living arrangement you decide on, because it's very common in Spain to particularly in like Madrid and Barcelona, to rent a room in an apartment. So an apartment, like a room within an apartment, will obviously be much cheaper than if you rent an apartment itself. You can probably expect between 400 to 500 euros a month, depending on the neighborhood and the quality of the apartment for a room. And then rent of an apartment itself, again, depending on the size and the neighborhood, can be anywhere from sort of 700-800 euros up to 1,000. I would say for someone who has like a room, maybe just over the 1,000 euro per month mark. And then if you have an apartment, you probably around 1,500. But then based on, you know, income in Spain, if you've got an apartment, I would typically say you have like a higher monthly income because the rents are quite high in Madrid, and the same in Barcelona as well. So if you really want to live like frugally and save money, if we take like average income in Spain, then the reality is probably that most people are going to end up like renting a room.
Got it.
If they want to have some kind of saving capacity and investing.
Any final thoughts for people on this topic of saving money for millennials that you would want to impart to people who are watching this from the Graham Stefan of Madrid? What's your that will be the title for this, interviewing the Graham Stefan of Madrid.
I'm flattered.
What would be your words of wisdom for them?
Maybe a last thought on, I know we've talked about like sacrifice and like if having to be intentional if you want to like have a financial goal in the future. But something that's really been on my mind recently is like finding the balance between like working towards your future and having fun, because like we're only young once, like we only live once, and we're only young once as well. And certain experiences like travel and like certain things, it's much better to have them and while we're young. So being able to find that balance is key. And in terms of like the sacrifice and saving, like always have a goal in mind, because if you're just saving and you don't really have a goal, like you probably end up asking yourself like, what's the point? So having a goal and a vision in mind, it will help you stay focused and help you stay like motivated to save.
Well said from the Graham Stefan of Madrid. So guys, if you have any questions, put it down below and we'll try our best to be able to answer it as well. But on the next video, we're gonna grill Johnny about investing. I think it's a very, very interesting topic, so stay tuned for that. But if you guys learned a lot from this, give us a like, comment, and I'll put also Johnny's YouTube channel. If you want to follow him, give him a like also in his channel, and just give him some love too. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. God bless you all.